Hello everyone, I welcome you today in the second lecture of week 1. Myself, Dr. Rajkiran Prabhakar, Assistant Professor at Institute of Management Studies, Banaras Hindu University. My dear learners, as we have gone into understanding the concept of rural marketing and the different aspects of the marketing in lecture 1. We had tried to understand the basic meaning of the concept rural marketing and the different definitions that are given for the better understanding of the term rural marketing. We have quoted different scholars who have given different meanings and definition to this term. We have also talked about the importance of rural marketing in today's world. Therefore, in addition to the previous lecture, we are going to add the topic which will be more emphasizing on the scope of rural marketing in emerging economies. My dear learners, as we know that India is also coming under the developing countries. And if you look into the data, countries like Brazil, proportion of the people, they are dwelling into the rural areas. And if we want to understand the economies of this market, it is evident that the development or the untapped market or the nascent development in this rural market has to be seen by the lens of creating a venture, creating new businesses and developing the economies of this rural area. So, we are going to take deep dive into the different aspects which governs the economies of rural market. So, dear friends, we see that the emerging economies, also known as emerging markets, are countries that are not yet fully developed, progressing towards the high level of industrialization, economic development, high living standards, and they typically exhibit higher economic growth rates compared to developing countries. Now, this means that there is lot of scope in developing this area wherein the living standards are not at that level. People do not have the right kind of infrastructure. We see that the income level of these rural people is very low. They are totally depending upon the kind of jobs that are created by the agriculture segment, the jobs that are created through schemes like Manrega, giving an edge to the development of the income level of this rural people. So we see here that the scope of rural marketing in emerging economies is vast, offering significant opportunities and challenges for businesses looking to tap into the market. Now, when we see that this untapped market can become a potential market for different businesses, corporate houses, investment from foreign nations, expansion of the urban market, as well as finding this rural market as a niche market for all those products which can be a new product for that very market. And this can be done through assessing the needs of the rural consumers, looking at the how much inputs can be made to see the needs assessment of that very area and try to map up with the products that can satisfy the needs of those area. So it will help us to develop the kind of product and services which would be used and relevant for this untapped market. This can be also seen when we go into understanding the market size and demographic of the rural area. The major impact we can see through the population. We see that the larger population is living into the rural area in comparison to the urban area. And in the first lecture we had discussed that the 65% of the population is residing in the rural areas. So you can see that how much market is available for growth and development. So for instance, we see that in countries like India, China and Brazil, the majority of the people still reside in the rural areas, representing a large potential consumer base. Now when we say that the countries like China, Brazil, their population is residing in the villages, there is an ample opportunity for the marketers to venture into it, to find their position into it, to trace and develop the kind of product that is required by those set of consumer. So when you look into the other aspect of this, we can say that we can make a comparison between the urban market and the rural market, and it is also we have discussed in the previous class when we were giving the difference between the urban market and the rural market. We see the customer base in the rural area is on the higher side, which gives an implication for the marketers that this customer base can be an opportunity for them. So why not design the products which is going to meet to their expectations, their requirement, going to satisfy their needs. And it could be not only the newer products, but the existing products which are there in the urban market can be shifted from urban to the rural market. So we see that the customer base is very much required, or it is there, which gives an idea to the marketers, corporates, business houses that they can develop certain strategies to venture into this customer base of the rural marketing. Second, we see that there is a growing middle class. Now this growing middle class, we see in the budget also it is evident that the government is also focusing on the middle class by providing them the financial assistance. When the middle class is going to grow, the market is going to change because the consumption pattern, the paying capacity is going to be going on the higher side. When it is going to go on the higher side, it means that lot of products can be pushed to the rural market, lot of products can be given or distributed into the rural market wherein the consumers can buy it, because the middle income has the capacity to pay for the price that is asked of the marketers. So the income level of the middle class is going to increase the capacity of the rural consumers. The spending patterns are also going to change. There will be a lot of distribution in the spending pattern of the rural consumers, because they are now ready to buy those products which they were not able to buy in the past. So the growth in the middle class is also going to result into the development of the rural market. Another thing that we can see, that now the shift is also taking place in the buying behavior of the rural consumers. The investment of their consumer spending is increasing in the non-essential goods and services also. Earlier, this was not the scene. Earlier, what was needed, what was necessity, only the rural consumers were buying that. But now, because of the growing middle income group, they have the potential, they have the power, they have the capability that they can shift their buying from essential goods to non-essential goods, which are mainly meant for luxury. Third point is young population. The emerging economies have a large population of young people in the rural areas who are becoming more aspirational, brand conscious, creating demand for a variety of products and the services. Now, what we are trying to emphasize here is three things are there: aspirational, conscious, brand conscious, and creating a demand for a variety of products. Now, if I take an example that in the earlier times, the consumers were just demanding to have a twig of tree to brush their teeth. Now that was evident in the nature. They were plucking the twig from the tree and they were using for brushing their teeth. That was an essential goods. But now they have this potential to buy any kind of toothpaste which is going to be used for brushing their teeth. And not only the toothpaste, the brush. So the marketers are eyeing towards creating that demand, which is shifting from the previous brush of twig of a tree to a brush and a toothpaste. You might be knowing a brand called Babool. How the brand conscious the customers are becoming, and these are those customers who are young. They do not want to use the traditional method of brushing. They want to use those products which are easily available, ready to use, and it could be used at different time, different situations. So we see that because of the young population, their requirements are changing, their needs are changing. This needs change is an opportunity for the marketers to venture into this segment. Second aspect we see is the economic growth and rising income. When we say that the growth is taking place, mainly we are talking about the agriculture growth and rural enterprise. So when we say that agriculture is the backbone of the rural economies, in many emerging markets, government policies and technological advancements are enhancing the agricultural productivity, thus improving the income of the farmers and rural entrepreneurs. We see here that nowadays even the rural areas, the sprouting of the rural entrepreneurs is also taking place. The people from that rural areas are initiating to venture into the new market. Rather, we can say, since it is a part of rural area and we see that agriculture is the most evident occupation there, the farm produce are the products, the agriculture inputs are there. Now, there are many such rural entrepreneurs who are using this market for venturing into different product categories, be it vegetables, be it any kind of natural processing of honey, be it the fisheries. So, the agriculture and agriculture related activities, allied services, these are acting as an opportunity for the rural entrepreneurs. And for this, the government schemes are being very supportive to them. So, initial help is being given to them to develop those kind of rural entrepreneurs which are going to parallelly serve into the economic development of rural economy. Second aspect we see is the government initiatives which talks about that they are increasingly focused on rural development through schemes such as subsidies, rural employment programs and infrastructure projects that are increasing the purchasing power of the rural consumers. Now, because of this government initiatives of the schemes, infrastructure development and the rural employment programs, the purchasing power of the rural consumers are increasing. The source of income is available in the rural area itself. They do not need to go out of that area because you have the guarantee programs are there, rural guarantee programs are there. You are getting job in a factory or a farm which is mainly of the farm produce, in processing of the vegetables, development of the different infrastructure. The infrastructure might be the kind of storage that is available there. The laborers are required for the logistics part. If the development of infrastructure is taking place, you need mansions, you need carpenters, and all such employment is generated by them. So, government initiative is helping the people, the rural people, that they can have development in their income as well as they get the kind of capability, the power of buying is increasing. Third, we are going to see on the changing consumption pattern, which will be discussed in three heads. First one is the aspirational consumption, second is demand for urban goods, and third is the technology and media influence. We'll take one by one. When we talk about the aspirational consumption, we are saying that the rural income is increasing and the aspirations are also changing. Aspirations here is when you look into the other side and you get the feel that you should also buy something which you do not have. You aspire to have something which you do not have. And the market is changing. It is giving you an option that you can go and buy those products which was not under the reach. So what we see here, they are shifting from basic consumption of food and clothing to a higher value product in, say for example, electronics, automobiles and the personal care. Now what we see here is the three entities which are termed as a high value product. As I said that the shifting is taking place. No more the rural consumers are just having or depending upon the basic needs of food and clothing. If it is a basic need also, it is going to be converted as a STEAM needs, because they are also going to focus upon showing themselves that they are also going to be having those products which are available in the urban market. So when we see the shift is taking from the basic products to a high valued products, wherein the availability of electronics goods, durable goods, for example, mobile phones, smart mobile phones, TVs, motorbikes, these are something where you have to invest, but at the same time, it is changing your living standards. It is giving you a kind of lifestyle which is going to be at par with the urban market. So we see that the aspirational consumption is changing. Second aspect is demand for urban goods. We can say it could be because of the some of the areas which are besides the urban market, which we can say it's a semi-urban, converting from urban to semi-urban, or a rural converting to semi-urban. It means on the side of those boundaries of urban market, these are going to impact on the rural consumers. And because of that, the rural consumers are having the same kind of demand, same kind of desire for the products which are available in the urban market. As I gave an example, that if you want to buy a toothpaste, you are going to buy a toothpaste of Pepsodent, you are going to buy a toothpaste of, say, Colgate, you are going to buy a toothpaste of Patanjali, because now you are trying to match up, the customers are trying to match up with the urban goods and services. You are also, or you have come across certain products which are available in the urban market only, but now they are being present in the rural market too. I will take a small example of Domino's Pizza. If you are going to use your smartphone, mobile phones for ordering a pizza, you are going to get that, because the companies have they opened their arms to extend towards the rural market, and it is because there is a demand from the rural market of the urban goods. So this is also evident, and it gives an opportunity for the businesses to develop and expand their businesses and satisfy those sets of customers who are residing in rural areas. Basically, we are trying to change the lifestyle and the living standard of the rural consumers by matching up to the demands of the urban goods. Third, we see that we have a technology and media influence, which, as I gave in the example, with the advent of mobile phones and internet connectivity, rural consumers are increasingly exposed to urban lifestyle and becoming more informed about the product and services, leading to generate demand for modern goods. When we see that a person sitting in a rural place, he is able to book a ticket of movie at an urban place. You have different apps available on your mobile phones. There's a Book My Show is there. If you want to go for an entertainment, you are going to book your tickets to Book My Show, and we are going to get the booking of the tickets. So you can enjoy the same kind of luxury in being into the rural market and availing the facilities which are available outside the rural market, that is in the urban market. Now, what are the challenges in rural marketing? The first challenges we can see is the infrastructure deficiency and the cultural sensitivity and communication. Now, these are two broad things that we are going to discuss. When we say the challenges of infrastructure deficiency, we are talking about poor roads, networks, unreliable transportation, limited access to retail outlets, and these are the key hurdles in the rural marketing. And the advancement of the different platforms and alternatives which are going to serve as the delivery mechanisms are helping to overcome these challenges. Now, three things we are going to focus: poor roads networks, unreliable transportation, and limited access of the retail outlets. So we see that though we are trying to understand that rural markets are going to go closer on the urban market, but still they are lacking the infrastructure. And when you talk about deficiency, it means there is some kind of lackness is there. It is not in that manner that it should be. So we see in the 21st century also, in spite of all the developments that are taking place, we are still far behind in developing the kind of roads that are required, the kinds of connectivity with different metro cities or tier 1, tier 2 cities is required. The transportation is not such. The connectivity is very limited. And if you see the different modes of transportation also, it is very much limited. So we can say that the infrastructure deficiencies are going to be the main bottleneck or hurdle in the development of rural market. But this can be overcome when we are going to look into the different development factors which are going to help the marketers to overcome this deficiency. Second, when we talk about the cultural sensitivity and communication, we see that rural areas in emerging economies are highly diverse in terms of culture, language, and tradition. Now also, we are more focused and intended towards our tradition, our culture, our language. This is not helping us to grow in certain aspect. Though it has its own importance, the culture has its own importance, the tradition has its own importance, but if it is putting you behind, we need to rethink on that. And we need to change ourselves, we need to transit from the old tradition, old culture to a newer way where we can look into the other side of the coin. When we see that the diversity is very much challenging, how to change it, but at the same time, it also provides an opportunity to the marketers that they can design their product and services matching up to the requirement of the diversity or the culture or the tradition. But at this point of time, that is also putting us behind in the growth and development. Then we have a technological integration and e-commerce. Basically, we are talking about the mobile phones and internet access, e-commerce growth, and digital financial solutions. In the mobile phones and internet access, we can say the mobile phones are available, but the connectivity is a question. The speed is a question. The number of telecommunication companies which are venturing into these places are limited. They find a threat to enter there because they might have a doubt in their mind that if we are going to install their system and services, they might not have that much of customers who are going to use it. Second, we see that the economic growth we talks about that the platforms like Amazon, Flipkart and local e-commerce players are expanding their reach into rural market, providing rural consumers with the access to a wide range of products and services. Now, this is a good sign for the rural consumers that because of the venture of the e-commerce platforms, number of players like Amazon or Flipkart, they are extending their businesses, they are serving to the customers and they are providing services which are going to be more satisfying to them. In the third, we are talking about the digital financial solution. So we see that mobile banking and digital payment solutions are increasingly focusing on the financial inclusion in the rural areas, enabling the rural consumers to make digital transactions and access services previously unavailable. Now this was the bottleneck, this was the hurdle, but now because of this digital intervention, the financial systems are available by the usage of mobile banking. Even the banks are extending themselves into rural areas, opening their branches. Small, medium, microfinance companies are there which are providing us short-term loans. These are giving or strengthening the financial positions of the customers. If the financial position is strengthened, there would be ability from the customer side to pay for what they are going to buy. This is giving a push into the rural economy. Next, we see there are certain successful examples which we can see. The first example in this concern is from Hindustan Unilever project called Shakti. Now Shakti was the name given of the initiative wherein they were treated as an entrepreneurs who distribute the HUL products in remote villages, providing a direct link to the consumers. Now I will just give you a reference to this, that the HUL, they had launched a project Shakti, wherein they wanted the women to be financially empowered and they were acting as a distributor for their products and services. The connectivity of distribution was made from the HUL to these women entrepreneurs and they were given the products at their place which they can sell out to their neighboring people. This was a very successful project which not only ventured into distributing the HUL products from the point of marketing the products, but also from the side of the rural women, that they were empowered to make financial decisions. Their skill of negotiation has paid a way for the customers to earn their livelihood. The income had changed their living standard. This was the pilot project that they had done. Second example, we can take rural marketing in India. The Coca-Cola developed a campaign specifically targeting rural consumers, like using local festivals for promotions, employing rural influencers, and they focused on affordable pricing and tailor-made products and smaller packaging. If you remember Amir Khan, in one of the ad campaign that was done by Coca-Cola, which was placed in a rural area in a field of sugarcane, and the line goes that ठंडा मतलब कोकोला, 5 मतलब कोकोला. Now you are promoting your products which is more relevant, more simplified, and giving us rural consumers understand this 5 and showing a 5 with your palm, 5 fingers. It gives a direct connect with the customers that they are going to buy a product of Coca-Cola which is going to be priced at ₹5. It means the packaging is such which will be of quantity of 250 ml, and the bottle is very significant of Coca-Cola, we all know. So the Coca-Cola had developed their campaign in reference to the rural consumers, wherein they can easily identify the product, they can easily buy the product because it was in their reach. The packaging was small and the taste was more satisfying to them. Third thing that we see, the M-Pesa in Kenya, which was a mobile banking. This was a revolutionized step that was taken in the rural market in Kenya by offering the financial services such as money transfers, savings, and loans to the people who were previously excluded from traditional banking. Now we can say that this is a very relevant example that how the financial transactions, financial growth is taking place when M-Pesa was introduced as a mobile bank in Kenya, and those people who are excluded, that they were not into the financial transactions in the banking system, they were included by inclusion of this M-Pesa campaign, and they were able to save their money, they were ready to go for borrowings like loans, and even they were making different kind of investment through this mobile banking. When you take into the consideration of the other factors like product customization and innovation. Now this is very, very important in the rural market because you need to emphasize more on customizing your product, and if you are customizing your product, the innovation is key to it. So focusing on innovation and doing the customization will serve the purpose of rendering your product and services to the rural consumers. We can see that many companies are customizing their products for rural market, such as the low cost sachet in the personal care and FMCG products, which is more affordable for rural consumers. Now this could be done through small packaging at a lower price, reusable packaging, and how much it could be focused, how much it is satisfying the need of the customer, that can also be seen through certain examples. Like we see a product of biscuit, and the very evident product is Parle-G. We are all have grown from our childhood till now with having the taste of Parle-G. Parle-G was placing its product in the market, and this placement of the product was such that the packaging was the important content which was used to make the customers buy that product. So Parle-G was not only available in the market for 5 rupees, but if you have if your requirement is all on the lower side, you will have at 2 rupees also. So this is one of the advent example. Second is innovative distribution models, which we see that there is often there is in the rural market, businesses are innovating by creating a local distribution network and partnering with rural entrepreneurs who understand the local conditions and behavior. When the innovation in the distribution model is made, and it is being made by looking into the requirement, involving the rural people, looking at their requirement, when you design the model, that model will be a successful model. Now, we see that it is going to help the local people in distribution, involving them into distribution or networking with them, so that you can have a edge on the other competitors who are operating from our market. Now, we look into the significance of rural marketing, which is there in the emerging economies. If we look into this aspect, we can say the wider market access and the economic growth and development is the key element in the growing economy. Also, reducing the poverty. We know that the people in the market, especially in the rural market, their efforts are aimed at the rural areas where they can address the essential need such as affordable health care, education and agricultural improvements. In this we see that there is a ultimately rise in the incomes and it improves the living conditions, helping to alleviate from poverty. If the rural income is growing, the incomes are increasing, the poverty is going to reduce. Secondly, boosting the agricultural output. We are going to find different innovative tools and technologies to increase the productivity, which will lead to a higher yield, and that will also boost the income of the farmers, and they will make the nation or the national economy on the higher side. The key drivers of rural marketing growth are economic growth in rural areas, which I have discussed, that the government schemes are there, actually advancements are there, rural entrepreneurs are contributing. Looking at the technological advancement, we can say the mobile phones are available, internet access are available, digital banking is there, and either you are reshaping the rural consumption. In terms of improving infrastructure, we see that better roads are being made, logistics are improved, and e-commerce platforms are available. The increasing accessibility is there. At the end, there is a thoughtful question which will be emphasizing on what we have covered till now in this lecture 2. And this is something that you have to look into, that you have to imagine that you are an investor assessing a company's potential in rural market within an emerging economy. So what we have to do? We have to see that what key factors would you focus on in your evaluation, and how would you analyze the risk and reward associated with the rural marketing strategies. The learnings that we have done in this session will help you to answer these questions, but I would rather emphasize a thoughtful thinking in answering these questions would be a better option. Also, you have to focus on the key points that has been discussed in this lecture. With this, we are coming to the end of the second lecture of week 1. Thank you very much.